Starbucks is a coffee industry giant, overshadowing every other competitor in the market. But the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Luckin, a coffee chain based in China, has risen from the ashes and has been slowly taking over the Chinese coffee scene, and soon maybe even the entire world.
Would you like to donate a cup of coffee to a soldier overseas? Yeah, that seems like a good cause.
Hey, here's your free cup of coffee from a lady in Rhode Island.
What? In this video, we'll be going over all the hurdles that Luckin overcame to come out on top. Stick around until the end, and you may pick up a thing or two about running your own business. Luckin Coffee. As successful as Luckin Coffee is right now, its beginning was anything but successful. Founded in 2017, Luckin wanted to differentiate itself from the competition by being a tech-driven coffee chain. The company wanted to be the first ever coffee chain that was built on a mobile network of apps connecting to stores. From ordering pickup to scheduling coffee deliveries, everything had to be done through Luckin's mobile app. This cutting-edge approach to technology meant that Luckin stores often didn't have cashiers running the front like most cafes did. The app also allowed Luckin to deviate from the norm of other cafes, offering no in-house seats and only offering pickup or deliveries. With all these lower operating costs combined, Luckin was now in the prime position to sell their coffee at ridiculously low prices. A cup of coffee from Luckin was initially priced at around 1.4 USD, while a similar drink at Starbucks would net you around 4.5 USD. They were practically giving away coffee for free. This approach was called the loss leader strategy, often utilized by companies like Netflix or Amazon. The long-term plan was simple. Luckin would start off with ridiculously low prices, gather enough market share, and then slowly ramp up their pricing to earn a profit later on down the line. Effective, but simple. Except they overlooked one key factor. The people who bought their coffee in the first place were only there for the low price and nothing else. The coffee itself was mediocre, so as soon as Luckin tried to ramp up the price, most of their customers jumped ship. Going back to their lower price model was also out of the question, since their overhead costs like delivery services, marketing, research, and sales was starting to take a toll on the company, driving the company to increasing yearly losses that even amounted to 860 million USD. And that's just in 1 year. Luckin was being driven into the wall by investors, and so in a desperate attempt to save face, they started spouting lies. Scam. Luckin was a publicly traded company that had multiple shareholders in the mix, most of which were understandably unhappy with where the company was going. To stop their shareholders from pulling out, Luckin decided that it would be best to fake nearly half of its $732 million sales in 2020, fabricating orders to fool their shareholders into thinking the company really was profitable. But this charade of profits wouldn't last long, and soon after news broke out, the share price dipped as low as 97%. The company was plunged into bankruptcy and multiple lawsuits. But instead of walking away from their responsibilities and leaving Luckin to wither away, the original owners and managers instead chose to go back to the drawing board. The first thing that the company's management had to face was that their strategy obviously wasn't working. To fix the current problem, the company had to reassess their value proposition. This was their time for a comeback. Cost cutting. The first thing that Luckin had to do was to cut down their costs even more. Although the app itself was giving them the opportunity to save on wages and rent, their rapid expansion strategy was costing them more than the app could handle. Luckin decided to close down many of their stores. Originally, the company had wanted brand visibility in China's different cities in hopes of attracting more customers. But of course, not every store was a gold mine. The company also needed to start reviewing their pricing model because their drinks were starting to cost more than they were worth. Luckin soon took away free coffee promos, discount promos, and more from their app. Of course, this decision turned a lot of their initial customers away because they were only attracted to affordability. But Luckin wouldn't be needing them. Innovation. Now that their focus was moving further away from frugality, Luckin now needed to start making coffee drinks that were actually delicious. Luckily, inspiration would strike early as their research problem would come up with their first premier drink in years, the brown sugar boba latte. The brown sugar boba latte is basically a coffee drink for people who love milk tea. Not only did this drink introduce Luckin to a whole different market, but this also broadened their horizons on what a coffee-based drink could be. This sent the R&D team into overdrive, developing drinks that were sweeter and more palatable for today's sweet-toothed generation. Suddenly, Luckin made drinking coffee accessible again, and while the brown sugar boba latte was a hit among customers, their coconut milk latte was also quite the home run. The coconut milk latte was the drink that would send Luckin into the stratosphere. Luckin started releasing newer drinks at higher prices, and as long as they tasted good, the customers were happy. Marketing. While the company did cut marketing costs, this didn't mean they stopped marketing their products. Quite the opposite even. Instead, they chose to cut down the extravagance of their marketing. Most of Luckin's marketing at the time involved Super Bowl-type ads, where the focus was on brand recognition, never really defining what their brand wanted to be. Luckin was keen on changing this as soon as possible, and with their recent drink innovations, they now knew just the market to cater to. Luckin's marketing soon shifted to a simpler approach to marketing, focusing on emphasizing 4 key aspects of their brand identity: professionalism, youth, fashion, and wellness. This focus bled into their brand ambassadors, their marketing materials, and even their marketing channels. Luckin knew that their target market was supposed to be younger, so instead of placing ads on TV or YouTube, they instead chose to focus their marketing on social media apps like TikTok and WeChat. Luckin was successfully growing into a new market, and with their new market comes new demand: franchising. China is a huge country with over 687 cities, most of which span hundreds, if not thousands of miles. And most of these cities definitely wanted to lock in on the Luckin craze. But of course, management was more conservative this time. Not only is managing a nationwide coffee chain difficult, the upkeep and research needed for each branch was surely going to weigh down their momentum. And so, Luckin opened themselves up to franchising. Luckin's approach to franchising is actually quite intuitive. Instead of focusing on profitability for each of their franchises, they instead focused on a franchisor's ability to lessen the managerial load of handling a branch. Luckin's franchising scheme made it so that they earned less on each franchise, but still consistently sold. Luckin also made it a point to maintain ownership of their stores in high-value cities, only delegating franchisors to lower-value cities to maintain their profitability. And in just 3 years of continued innovation, Luckin has now officially left Starbucks China in the dust. And while the changes that Luckin has made are surely intuitive, Starbucks' own negligence may have also paved the way for Luckin's success. Why Starbucks fell. Starbucks is a multinational company. Although internationally, Starbucks is still a dominant player, there's only so much innovation that you can do across borders. While Luckin launched 113 new menu items in 2021 alone, Starbucks couldn't even have more than 30 new items approved. All the red tape and uniformity that Starbucks enforced has led to Starbucks' own lack of innovation. This red tape was also the reason behind Luckin's continued success during the pandemic, allowing Luckin to adapt to the new normal faster than Starbucks. Now, you may be wondering, why doesn't Starbucks just franchise their stores out like Luckin did to lessen the managerial load? Starbucks currently owns 100% of its stores in China, and that's all because Starbucks wants to play the long game, believing that China will soon overtake America as the next economic powerhouse in the world. As in the classic tale of the hare and the tortoise, Starbucks has fallen asleep with the lead, and now only time will tell if they continue to be overtaken by Luckin.